So a guy goes to a dairy and he says, I need enough milk for a milk bath. And the dairy guy says, do you want that pasteurized? And the other guy says, no, just up to my neck. Hi, I'm Jason Pierce. I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach. And this week I want to talk about raw milk. It's come up recently in the news because of Holland from Norway's national team in the World Cup. He has raw milk after training and in the morning. But not just him. It's one of these diet trends that have been bubbling to the surface recently. And people that consume raw milk claims it has all these amazing properties to it. It can help cure allergies. It can help your gut biome. It's got more nutritional value than pasteurized milk. And frankly, there's not a whole lot of data to back any of these claims up. Let's just talk about what raw milk is anyway. It's just milk that comes right out of the cow and then you drink it. Most milk that you consume is pasteurized. And pasteurization, which I never really knew what it was, I knew it was a process, is simply heating something up to a certain temperature for a certain amount of time. For milk, the general process of pasteurization is to heat it up to about 161 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 seconds. Which isn't very hot and isn't very long. You can do ultra pasteurization, you'll see that on some labels as well, and that's heated up over 280 degrees Fahrenheit for just a few seconds. And then there's slow pasteurization, which is a much lower temperature for a much longer amount of time. But essentially all it is heating up the milk to a certain temperature to kill bacteria. And that's all it is. And it was created in part about 100 years ago because of tuberculosis. TB was spreading through cows, and people were getting it from drinking the milk of the cows. And then Louis Pasteur came up with this method to kill the bacteria, kill TB, and then that solved that problem. And since then, milk is pasteurized. Pasteurization has saved countless lives and saved people from getting sick. There's really nothing fancy to it. It's just heating up the milk. You do this with water. If you're out in the wild, you don't just drink water out of a stream. You boil it first because there's bacteria in the water. Same with milk. There's bacteria in there you don't want in your system. So why all of a sudden is raw milk becoming a thing? Well, there have been a couple of studies that have been done that have shown that children on farms in Europe have less allergies than children in the cities in Europe. And they've went through all this data, and one of the things that they found was that these children were drinking raw milk, and of course the kids in the city weren't. However, the direct link between raw milk and these allergies is not quite established. Because what's the other thing that these kids are doing that the ones in the cities aren't doing? They're hanging out with animals, they're outdoors, they're probably helping with chores. So they're doing all this stuff in the outdoors around animals, all this extra dander getting into their system at a young age. So their body is having to adjust to all these allergens and build up their immune system. When you're not exposed to that stuff at a young age, you don't build it up, and so you get hit with allergies worse later in life because you haven't built up that immunity yet. Also, proponents of raw milk claim that when you pasteurize it, you get rid of these probiotics that are in there that are really good for your gut health. Yes, apparently this is true. Pasteurization does get rid of these probiotics. However, there's not enough of them in milk anyway to do anything for a human. The number of probiotics in raw milk is so minuscule it wouldn't actually help you. Even yogurt and things that have a lot of probiotics, they usually add more probiotics into those in order to make them more gut healthy. So there's other sources for probiotics other than raw milk. Now, the biggest issue with raw milk, of course, is that because it's not pasteurized, it's got bacteria in it. And you could get sick from drinking it. You could die from drinking it. If there were a bigger population of people drinking raw milk, it would be a big problem because more people would be getting sick. And generally speaking, when you get sick from this stuff, it just affects you. However, there are bacteria and illnesses that you can get from the milk that you could spread to your family or friends. So there's another reason not to do it. For example, the bird flu that's going on right now can get picked up by cows and get into the milk. And then if you drink that milk without it being pasteurized, you could get bird flu and you could pass that on. So there are some pretty compelling reasons not to drink it. Here's the thing that I kind of want to touch on. Milk itself isn't exactly something that you need to drink, and it's not really a superfood, or there's not a whole lot to it that you can't get elsewhere. What is milk? Milk is what is made by a mother mammal for her offspring. So the milk in cows is designed for baby cows to drink, not humans. Humans have adapted, but not all humans. There are vast numbers of people that cannot tolerate milk, that are lactose intolerant. So it's not like milk is necessary for humanity to survive. There is nutritional value to milk, but all of the nutrition you can get from milk, you can get elsewhere. Dairy is great because you get cheese out of dairy, you get ice cream, cream, milk, all these products come from dairy. And yes, that's amazing that we have figured that out. And again, for the people that can tolerate it, it's awesome. But for the people that can't, it's not like they're not getting nutrition because they don't have milk. You're not getting anything out of raw milk that you can't get elsewhere. You're not getting anything out of pasteurized milk that you can't get elsewhere. So playing Russian roulette with your stomach and your health because you want raw milk seems to me a little frivolous. There's no reason to have raw milk. If you're looking for a good source of probiotics, there's plenty of others out there. There's plenty of other sources of calcium out there. There's way more protein in other sources. So you can get all of the nutritional value from milk elsewhere, is the point. And raw milk does not have enough more nutritional value than pasteurized milk to make it worth the risk of getting sick because you're drinking it. I hope that made sense. I hope you found this interesting. As usual, I'll link to some articles down below so you can look up some of this information yourself. So please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and as usual, stay healthy.